might think is a dark horse, whether it'll start with the American League that you think is, well, damn, they could be in a really good spot here as they push towards a postseason berth?
I don't think so, right? I think that goes back to what I was saying with the way these front offices are thinking. There wasn't that, there wasn't the Juan Soto deal, going somewhere. There wasn't a name like that. I know you said, hit maybe everybody, but Eflin's deal, I think, was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
You're bringing in a dude that knows how to pitch, that's been in the American League East, that's been in the National League East. He understands what that's all about. And I think when you bring him in, because you know this, right? We pick up a nugget or two from everybody we come across in the game. And if Eflin can pass a nugget along to somebody else, Grayson Rodriguez, for example, but Eflin also picks up a nugget or two from Burns. Now all of a sudden we got this little bit of mojo working in that category. So I like the Orioles moves. The Eloy Jimenez move, I didn't quite understand. And once again, I'm not in the room, not sitting there talking about it, but kind of scratched my head a little bit on that one to say, okay, where does that fit? That was my initial thought process. But when you go get a guy like Eflin, and granted his numbers necessarily weren't the top of the world, but something goes right, and certainly his first outing showed that he can do it because he did it. But I like those ideas of bringing in somebody like that. Might be a little bit, because that's a dark horse kind of guy. And if next thing you know, he pitches a game 2 in a playoff series, I'm not trying to slight Grayson Rodriguez in any means, but it might line up if he's pitching well down the stretch to have that kind of veteran presence go out there and follow Burns. I mean, it's possible you're staring at a 2-0 in favor, and Grayson goes out there and shoves, and the next thing you know, that's 3 and out. And some team's going home and Baltimore's advancing. So I think if there was a dark horse, I think Eflin might be the one.
I like that. You know what? I told people this year, because everyone's going, you got to go get the ace, go get Skubal, go get Crochet. That's what's going to put you over the top. And I look back to last year. Max Scherzer was the big move. So same thing with Justin Verlander. But the one that actually made the biggest impact for the Texas Rangers was Jordan Montgomery, and then who they already had with Nathan Eovaldi, where those are guys. So it's this year it was, can Zach Eflin, could Jack Flaherty, could any of those other – I'm not going to say they're secondary pitchers, but are one of those guys, is their game going to be elevated that's going to put your team over the top? So we're on
that's a good call on Jordan Montgomery too, and it just shows you like how volatile sometimes the pitching world can be. Because what he was able to do last year, he didn't have a job this spring, and then he ends up like having to go somewhere else, and is not necessarily pitched that well when he's been out there on the bump. So that is one of those things that you find a guy when he's thrown well. And, I think Eflin was getting it going, and that falls back into that same category of now's the time to bring Jackson Holliday back to the big leagues because he was swinging well down there. So make the move when somebody's hot, feeling good about themselves. And if Eflin can run the table out, plus you got him for next year, which I think is a pretty good one. And the Rogers deal to the Marlins, I know you gave up a couple players, but I don't think they were necessarily in your plans. So if they go to Miami and they play 12 years in the big leagues and rake, tip your hat to them and congratulate them and say, you know what, we knew that was in there somewhere. We just didn't have the chance to give you that opportunity. But Rogers under control through 2026. And I think you got to go back, maybe look 3 years ago where Rogers was really good because he was pitching in with a 2 ERA of some sort, 2 point something. But he hasn't necessarily found that, but a 6'5" lefty that can go out there on the bump, and if he finds something and gets one of those nuggets from somebody else, you might have something nice.
Yeah, and also he dealt with a lot of injuries in 2023 as well. So it's you feel good in your All-Star year, you get humbled, and then you're injured, and then here you are trying to find it. And I'm glad you're saying this. People think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. Maybe I'm a little nuts.
Oh, well, you're gonna have people letting you know that I'm nuts too, so it's okay.
Well, obviously, yes. We'll share. Runs in the family there. But, the point is it's so unpredictable with pitchers nowadays, and you don't know where it's going to turn into or what's going to develop. And pitchers nowadays, the arm injuries are going to be so high. That's just the nature of the beast of it. But guys can find themselves becoming all-star caliber pitchers into their 30s now. I mean, Seth Lugo is a perfect example for the Royals, where you're going, he's getting what money going into this year? Who the hell is this guy? And oh, damn, he's pretty damn good. And I think that's the part where that was what the Royals were hoping, but that wasn't the expectation from the exact world. So it's a little bit of patience. Guys can figure it out.